Alright, here we go, guys. This is the May 21st submitted assignment. That means this is your second to last submitted assignment. You are just about there. Stick with it. Do what you're supposed to. And you'll be finishing Algebra 1 up here in a little bit, and you'll never have to take it again. So, please continue doing what you're doing. Don't give up yet. Finish this week. Watch this video. Do next week's assignment. And you'll be good to go. Alright, here's the May 21st voiceover for your submitted assignment. You got a bunch of probability questions. Front side, all multiple choice. Back side, all free response. It's still just probability either way you look at it. You're still going to do work for all of these, but you got a choice of answers. It says Robert's going to purchase one item each from 2 quarter machines. So there's 2 different machines. He's going to put a quarter in one, put a quarter in the other. Different toys in the first one, different toys in the second one. The first one contains bracelets that are 4 different colors. So maybe like red, blue, yellow, and green or something. Yeah, including his favorite color, red. There are equal amounts of each color. So there's 10 red, 10 blue, 10 green, 10 yellow. Whatever. There's 10 of each. Equal amount. The second quarter machine contains not equal amounts of things. 1 sticky hand, 1 pencil topper. This looks like middle school school store items. 2 erasers, 3 plastic rings, 4 bouncy balls. What is the probability Robert will get a red bracelet? Okay, so that's 1 of the 4 colors. So that's 1 out of 4 from the first machine. Okay, you actually don't need to know how many there are. But because it says that there are equal amounts, 1 out of every 4 will be red. 1 out of every 4 would be blue, yellow, and green, because there are 4 total colors, 1 of which is red. And a plastic ring. Well, there are 3 plastic rings out of 7, 9, 10, 11 items. And he wants to get them both. And means to multiply. 3 out of 44. That one's pretty easy. Not bad. Trickiest part, finding out what's the probability for a bracelet. You got that, you're good to go. Alright. In a bag of keys, there are 14 silver, 6 black, that's 20. 8 copper, that's 28. And 4 painted, so 32 total. 1 is drawn out at random. What is the probability that it is silver? Or means we're going to add copper, which means we're 20 out of 32. 22 out of 32, which 2 goes into both of those. And then that can't be reduced anymore. So we got D for number 1, we got D for number 2. All right, here we go. Number 3, last one on the front here. Last multiple choice question. It says a number cube with sides labeled 1 through 6 is rolled twice. The sum of the numbers that ends up... So some of you have seen this on ALEKS. Now, I know many of you have not done ALEKS in a long time. But this is where we would actually draw this chart. It's the easiest way to keep in mind what can happen when you roll 2 dice. You don't have to do this. But what's nice about this chart is it can easily keep you organized on all the possible outcomes. Because I'd be willing to bet some of you didn't think that there were 36 possible outcomes when you roll 2 dice. And there are. You could get a 1 and a 1. For a total of 2. You could get a 1 and a 2, a 1 and a 3, a 1 and a 4, a 1 and a 5, and a 1 and a 6. And since you are adding the sum of the numbers that roll up, that's why I added 1 to all those numbers. Now I get a 2. So a 2 and a 1 would give me a total of 3. A 2 and a 2 would give me a 4. A 2 and a 3 would give me a 5. A 2 and a 4 would give me a 6. A 2 and a 5 would give me a 7. And a 2 and a 6 would give me an 8. So you would fill out this chart, and you would have all of these possible outcomes. And so again, I would be willing to bet many of you didn't realize that there are 36 possible outcomes. Okay, all of these numbers out in my grid here. So this is the easiest way to look at it. I mean, if you understood that, this is easy. If you try to do it in your head, I'm not saying you can't. It's just a little bit more challenging. What's the probability that the sum is 3? Well, there's only 2 3s. So 2 out of the 36 total possible outcomes, which means you gotta reduce that 1 out of 18. You have a 1 out of 18 chance, letter A. All right, on to the back. We are now no longer multiple choice. We are doing this on our own. So, same as the front, I just don't have any answers to look at. It says Andrew has a box filled with baseball caps, 3 blue, 1 green, 2 black. That gives me a total of 6. He chooses 1 randomly for himself, then he picks a second one out randomly for his brother. What's the probability Andrew picked a black one for himself and then picked a green one for his brother? So just a couple of things to be careful of here. You gotta imagine this situation. There's 6 ball caps in a box. Andrew picks one out and he wants it to be black. Well, he's only got 2 chances and there's 6 total caps. And then means I'm going to multiply. But he didn't pull that black cap out and put it back in. He pulled it out, he put it on his head. That's what he wanted. He wanted a black cap. Pulled it out, put it on his head. So now when he goes back in for a green cap for his brother, well, there is 1 green, but there are now 5 total caps. Okay, 1 has already been removed for Andrew. So, multiply across, we get 2 over 30, which would reduce to 1 out of 15. And then here we go. I had explained this earlier in the week. Some of you guys like your decimals, some of you guys like your percents. That would be 0.07 when I round, or about 7%. So again, either of those, any of those 3 answers would work. I wouldn't be surprised if many of you started to catch on to fractions. Fractions is a very common way to write probability, but decimal, percent, both work. All right, on to number 5, Lola. Lola picks a marble at random from a bag containing 8 red, 4 blue, 8 green. That gives me 20 total marbles. That's a nice number to work with. But this time she replaces it. So this is different than number 4. She's going to pick one out. She replaces it and picks a second one. What's the probability she picks a blue marble first? Well, there are 4 blue marbles out of 20. And then, and means to multiply. She replaces it, pulls the blue marble out, looks at it. Yep, it's blue. Puts it back in. And now, a green marble. Well, there are 8 out of 20. This number stays the same because she replaced it. I'm going to do something a little bit different. This is how I like to do fractions. If you can reduce, I think it can become a whole lot easier. Of course, you guys can use your calculator right now. 4 goes into both of these numbers. And now I have 2 out of 25, which is what you would have gotten if you used your calculator. I like to do my fractions like that. 2 out of 25 is 0.08, which is 8%. So any of those 3 answers would work. Last question. Aishan. Oh, here we go. Shout out to Aishan. He's been doing his work. Aishan is bored during the quarantine, so he starts flipping a coin, rolling dice, and drawing a card from a deck of cards. Oh boy. Aishan, I hope you didn't actually do this. There's a lot going on here. So he's gonna flip the coin exactly once. He's going to roll the dice exactly once, and he's going to just draw 1 card. He's going to look at it. He's going to put it back in the deck. Okay? He does this 96 times. Aishan must have been really bored. Okay, he did this 96 times. How many times would you expect he got the exact combination of a heads, rolling a 3, and drawing a spade? So there's a little bit more challenging than it looks. It's just one more extra step that you honestly didn't see in any video. You'd have to just kind of like curious. I threw this question out here to see how many of you really know what's going on. Okay, so first let's find the probability. Rolling ahead, 1 out of 2. I'm sorry, flipping a heads. Rolling a 3. 1 out of 6. I see this mistake so many times. People put a 3 out of 6. There aren't 3 3s. There is 1 3. 1 out of 6. And drawing a spade. How many spades are there? So hopefully you were paying attention all week. There are 52 cards in a deck. 13 of them are spades. There are 4 suits. In other words, 1/4 of the cards are spades. So this means 2 times 6 is 12 times 4 is 48. So he has a 1 out of 48 chance to do this. Well, say he did this 96 times. Well, look at this, okay? It's not a coincidence I picked a random number 96. If you multiply by 2, you get 2 out of 96, right? He should have this happen 2 times. So, Aishan, if you did this, let us know. Did you get that exact thing twice? Because that's all you should expect. Okay? It's a very low probability. 1 divided by 48, it's about 0.02 or 2% chance. Okay, that's why about 100 times you should expect to see it twice. Okay, so that's one way to figure that out. Okay, you could have also, believe it or not, taken that 1 out of 48 number and multiplied it by 96. It would have given you 2 as well. That's another way to do that. Take your chance, your percent, your probability, and multiply it by how many trials. That way, if I would have asked you now I'm going to make up a random number, say he does this 1,000 times. We'll take his probability, multiply it by 1,000. You would expect him to do it 21 times about. Okay? So, just an extra question to see how you guys were doing. You should have gotten twice, though. Okay? If you got the probability 1 out of 48, that's nice. It's a good start. But really, the final answer would have been you would expect Aishan to do this twice. Like I said, guys, we've got one more submitted assignment. Make sure you continue doing what you're doing. Really, if you're watching this video when you're supposed to and you're doing everything you should be watching this on Tuesday, because I'm sure some of you took the Memorial Day off. You should be watching this on Tuesday, May 26th, which means you are in the final week. So, good luck. Hopefully you continue to do your work. I'll see you at a Zoom session also today. So if you're watching this on the day you should be watching it, May 26th, I'll see you at a Zoom session today. And you're pretty much home free.